tuning in to the online broadcast network, AfterBuzz TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads from over 200 countries and your number one source in after-show entertainment. AfterBuzz TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Hello, everyone. Wow. This is the theme song from The Omen.
Yep.
It is quite creepy because this episode of Extant was rather creepy in a certain way. Yeah, I'd say, I'd agree.
It had a lot of like crazy evil elements to it.
Yeah, it was uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Evil children, let's go with that. So we're your host. I'm Adrienne Snow, and I'm with the awesome Tori Miller.
Shucks.
Charlie Behrens and Monis Rose couldn't be with us tonight yet again, so we're happy to take over.
Oh, yeah.
Yet again. So just to start off, the episode this night was called Care and Feeding, and the second episode was Pack of Cards.
Mm-hmm.
Episode 9 and 10 ran consecutively.
Yes.
Yet again.
Movie
2
special
hours.
week.
Yeah, great. So what did you think of the 2 hours of Extant tonight?
I thought it had a lot of like super secret intrigue stuff where it was like, oh my gosh, let's plant some seeds and talk about some things.
Yeah.
I spent most of the time really super wanting to see what the offspring look like. I wanted, like, I don't know, just a small fragment of an image or like something I could piece together in my mind. I mean, it's apparently continuously growing, so I assume by the time that we see it, it's going to be like an adult, or it'll look like it'll probably look like Marcus or something, or someone that we've seen before.
Yeah.
But like that's literally what I spent the whole episode thinking, just like, show me the alien. Show me the alien!
I had the similar feeling of just kind of getting tired of the TARDIS sound and the weird, like, spectacle eyes, and just wanted to be like, just finally, please show me what this alien looks like. So I finally have an idea. So
yeah,
my imagination isn't running wild. I mean, cool that my imagination's running wild,
right?
But that I should be focusing on other things that are happening in the episode, not just my frustration. So on that note, I guess we should go ahead and start off with the first topic of the night, which is Molly's escape from the basement. And do you want to fill us in a little bit on that?
Yeah. So Molly and Krieger are arguing in the basement over the bodies of the military people who essentially killed each other at the command of the baby, or the offspring. I'll call it from here on out. And so Molly is angry at Krieger because he tried to kill it. And so Krieger is super determined to erase this offspring from the face of the earth because he sees it as the ultimate evil. And so while he's doing that, he decides that the best solution is to lock Molly down into the containment area so that he can go and kill it, because he knows that as long as she's around, she's going to try to stop him.
Yeah. I felt like that went on for about 30 minutes too long. With her in the elevator and trying to escape, and the flashbacks. I got the flashbacks, which were cool, but
right.
I just felt like, especially when you knew that once Yasumoto became aware of what was going on, it should have gone a lot faster. What did you think?
I mean, I felt like they needed it to kind of like breathe because there was so much other stuff going on at the same time. So they wanted all of these different parties to converge at the end of the arc. And so I felt like, you needed it to kind of hang out. And I mean, yes, the elevator part was really, it was a little overdrawn.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, it was where it needed to be at the time.
I suppose. I mean, my overall feeling this episode, or these episodes, was just, this is all taking a very long time. And
Right.
I don't understand why. I don't understand why I can feel the 2 hours. You know, and when you go to a
Right.
movie, or even when you're just watching a TV show that's only running 30 minutes, 45 minutes, you don't feel it. But the whole night, I was like, I can feel that this is taking forever, and they're
Right.
stretching out the most mundane information. I don't know.
Well, I think, and this is something that I had realized in the middle of the episode. It was during one of the Odin Ethan parts. But like, so the show has a tendency to do a really big build up and then like just to stay at wherever it was.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing, is that like sometimes it feels like they're building towards something, but then there's not a sharp payoff. So it's kind of like, oh my gosh, something's gonna happen. Well, maybe, and then they cut to something else. And so I think that's why you feel it, is because you don't feel like it's necessarily moving where you want it to go, or you think that it should, because essentially they are sending you up a hill, and then the hill leads to a plateau as opposed to a downhill.
See, you can do that with like a soap opera.
Right.
You know, if I'm watching a daytime soap, I'm watching Days of Our Lives, take your sweet, precious time getting Sammy and EJ to get together, because I know they're going to break up about a month after you get them together, and then I'm going to have to wait another 5 years to see them together. But when I'm seeing something on prime time and it's got all these great producers and the writing's supposed to be fantastic and it's not, then I get a little frustrated. It's like, okay, give me something to kind of chew on, or add something new in this episode that I can kind of chew on.
Right.
That isn't so predictable, or something that I, don't already know.
Yeah.
And I feel like this episode was kind of just like, I know everything that you're pretty much doing right now.
Though without the super long escape sequence, you wouldn't have got the Batman Arkham Asylum style contact lenses. So I feel like that made the episode. If they could have had the whole episode in that vision, I'd have been like, awesome. This is how I want to live my life from now on.
When I saw those, I immediately thought, I was like, oh my gosh, they have Terminator contacts. It's so cool. It's like, choo, 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 choo.
Right.
No target. Yeah, that was cool. And then I guess with the whole Molly's escape, the main point it served was to give you a little bit more backstory on why it's so important for her to have this baby in her life, because we find out that when she was in the car accident with Marcus, that she was pregnant at the time, which is not something I think we knew before. She was pregnant? Did you know?
Yes. It was mentioned earlier. Like, you didn't get to see it in its gut-wrenching, heart-tearing glory, but like they had mentioned it kind of offhand that like, yeah, she was pregnant and she lost both Marcus and the baby in that crash, but you never got to really see it or feel the effects of it. You just kind of like, it was mentioned offhand.
Because I felt like, for me, up until this point, I had always assumed that she was just infertile and that she'd always struggled, and she had been pregnant once but lost it just because she's not a very fertile woman, that her body couldn't sustain it.
Yeah.
So seeing it now and seeing that she was pretty far along in her pregnancy when she lost the baby, it made me kind of understand why she was so determined.
Yeah.
It kind of made me understand why she was so determined to find this baby.
Right. Well, like, I felt like that could have been delivered a little earlier in the series, because then it would have made everything up till now, it would have given it a little more emotional context.
Yeah.
Because now it's like, well, yeah, she's been on this baby craze for a little while, and you kind of understand because it's been mentioned, and, it's the first time she's had a chance to have an actual baby, and it's her baby, but, like, you didn't really have the full grasp of, like, how much she had lost beforehand.
Yeah.
Just seeing her there, laying on the gurney and like crying, seeing her dead boyfriend, husband, lover on the ground, and then having the news broken to her about her baby. It's just like, all right, I totally understand why she is why she's going to such lengths for it.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely could have been delivered sooner. Probably like maybe the 3rd episode instead of the 9th episode.
Right.
Because then you kind of just have a better context of why she's so determined and why this baby. I mean, of course, they kind of play on that type of what's supposed to be like an inherent thing that, you know, if you have a baby as a mother, you do want to kind of protect it.
Yeah.
Even if it is alien spawn, you know?
Right.
Sure. So I kind of got it at that point. But in any case, just to move it along, that
Right.
I think that's what Molly's escape served to do. So
Yeah.
once she did, I mean, because technically she didn't actually escape. She was running, and then they were like, "You should actually come with us. We're not going
Right.
to hurt you. We have your family." So I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, that's kind of anticlimactic because she's just going to go with this guy.
Yeah.
And find her family."
That was a little bothersome for me because it was like, all right, she's finally kind of striking out on her own. Like up until now, she's really been relying on everyone else. And then I was like, all right, she's going to do something herself and she's finally going to, you know, be all that she can be in the army, etc. And then it's like, nope, you're going to seek another man's help. And so that bothers me as like someone who is super into like strong female characters. I don't like that at every turn she has to rely on, like it's her only option is to rely on these men.
There are some racial and gender undertones that when I'm watching the show sometimes bothers me. And in particular, I think I mentioned a few episodes back, I really don't like that sometimes they play into female stereotypes. So there's that one episode where everyone thought Molly was crazy, and then Sam was like a backstabbing liar, and then Julie was, you know, this needy, like, it seemed like she was in love with John type of thing.
Right.
And I was like, why do you have to play into these stereotypes with these women?
Yeah.
Especially when it's supposed to be a show where the woman is the lead and it's all about, you know, her figuring this stuff out.
Yeah.
I feel like they kind of backtrack when they go down that route.
Right.
So yeah, to have her just, and she's kind of gullible in that way. You know, she follows this man to Yasumoto.
Right.
Or, well, she does tie him up and then Yasumoto calls and whatever.
Yeah.
But still, she does fall into it. And then later on when she's going to find the alien kid, she does just kind of follow this doctor and not really suspect anything. Even when she sees the trucks go by. First off, for me, I would have been like, that's something going on over there. There are trucks like going past that are the same truck that I have.
Right.
But so I think the writers could do better. I mean, it's kind of late now, but with in terms of making her so gullible and so easy to trust these men.
Yeah, but I mean, essentially it served to just kind of move the story along. I mean, as I said, it was everything that happened in this episode was just to get everyone in the same spot, being those cabins.
Yeah.
And so she never would have gotten there if not for Yasumoto helping her do that. And so it was a means to an end.
Yeah.
You know.
And I guess that's just kind of always been my issue with the show is that they just kind of do stuff
to get from point A to B.
Yeah, and it's so not creative how they do it. It's just kind of like, all right, well, what's the easiest way to do this? Oh, well, let's just make it so that she has to follow them. And they find out about Yasumoto, but it's not in a cool way at all.
Right.
And John's still in the dark about Yasumoto.
I do like that she was really, like, she didn't just take Yasumoto at face value. Like, she had to go with his plan because it was an imperative. But, like, when she met him, she showed legitimate anger and, like, she argued her points and stuff. So I thought that was good, that she wasn't just like, okay, cool, let's do this.
Yeah.
You know, it was like, I'm going to do this because I have to, and I have my reservations, and I hate your face.
Yeah. Fair enough. So, Molly.
But yeah, so that takes us to
Sparks and the
Sparks and the alien.
Yeah.
So tell us about that.
Well, so the alien, the last we saw the alien, was shot, or it had the image of Molly being shot by Sparks, and then it turned into a little version of Katie. And from there, they kind of brainwashed Sparks into thinking that if he helps the alien, then he can have Katie back. Mm-hmm. Because, you know, it's such an interesting thing that it does, how it plays on people's emotions like that.
Yeah.
And so by doing that, it gets Sparks to take it to this kind of hidden away cabin that I guess Sparks used to go to with his daughter and his family in the past. and from there, kind of that's where everyone eventually convenes, and it's able to kind of come up with its master plan of using Molly to do something
Yes.
with something in space. That's pretty much what I got from that.
Well, I mean, if we're gonna jump in, like, I mean, I guess
We can touch on it. Yeah.
I had interpreted it as like, because baby Katie had mentioned that it was the aliens' mission.
Yeah.
So like, I had assumed that he was making it so the new guy at the Seraphim would kind of bring over more alien people things.
They did touch on the new guy at the Seraphim, and
Yeah.
I think I might have like been looking down at that one split second that they showed him. But was it that they were programming something on the Seraphim? It looked like something. It looked like it wasn't the Seraphim.
They they changed its course. So like he was interacting with Ben, and Ben was like, "Hey, slight course correction from Earth. You'll be going towards Earth just for a short while."
Oh, okay.
So I assume it was just kind of like putting him in the solar flare range so that they can
Come
I don't
over.
know. Yeah, they can come over.
That's interesting.
He's a bridge.
Oh man. Yeah.
Um,
Well, but just to touch on that. So it did have a mission,
right.
and everything was happening for a reason, which was an actual nice revelation to see that, they're just not, that this alien in particular just isn't coming just to be like some kind of Damien child that disrupts the world, and Ethan has to come. And so Charlie, unfortunately, well, maybe, we don't know.
That's
Charlie's
true.
prediction might still come true before the end of the episode or
Yeah.
season. But yeah, with Sparks and the alien, how did you feel about that? How did you feel about them using Katie and then Sparks' wife coming in as well and being convinced of this?
I thought it made the alien seem like super intelligent, because like it really knows how to manipulate people's emotions, and it really knows how to make people do what they want. Like every time that Sparks would kind of resist, baby Katie would go, "Well, if you don't do this, you'll never see me again." Which was an amazing tactic.
Yeah.
Because it essentially hooked him in hook, line, and sinker, and he even managed to bring in his wife, which was like the only missing piece that kept him, I guess, still a non-believer, like his regular human brain.
Yeah. I mean, I did think the weird sweetness that he had kind of threw me off a bit with Sparks. I was like, why is he so... And then I guess a big thing that bugged me, outside of the fact that it was like some weird racial stereotyping with Esther, it was just that apparently he's been coming to this cabin or this camp for years.
Yeah.
And Esther owns this campground.
Mm-hmm.
But when they were first talking to each other, it didn't seem like they knew each other. It didn't seem like they had any history. Did you feel like they had history?
I mean, I thought that they had a moment of reminiscing, just kind of like she was talking about how Katie used to run around the campgrounds and stuff. Like, I mean, they weren't super like familial, like they didn't like hug and smooch or anything, but
Okay.
yeah.
I kind of just, maybe I missed that, but I just didn't feel like, I was like, this doesn't feel like people who know each other. And then when he straight up shot her in the gut, I was like, all right.
Yeah.
Well, this is, that
was a bummer.
horrible and predictable and sad.
Yeah. I felt bad because I really wanted her to just be the sweet, loving old lady.
Yeah, just be a stereotypical black woman.
Yeah. She could have just ran away. Like, she didn't have to die.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even shocking, like a death that is supposed to be shocking. Like, oh my gosh, you don't expect her to die, but like it made me sad. That's all it did, is made me sad, because I wanted her to live. She wasn't even a part of this whole thing.
And even the alien was kind of like, just go back in. Even the alien showed her Earl and Esther. First off, those names bug me, but even the alien was like, okay, well, just go back into your office. It's no big deal. You know, you're just seeing what you need to see. And then Sparks is to come out and wrestle the gun with her, and it's like, it's a shotgun. One, why do you even have to put your hand on the trigger? Like, you don't even have to put your hand on the trigger. She's already taken her hand off. So that was one of those things where I see why they did it to move the story forward. Because if they hadn't have done that, they wouldn't have gotten the cop.
Right.
But
though, I mean, for like after retrospectively, I guess is the word I'm looking for. I feel like since the offspring can manipulate you into doing things while you're kind of in that dream state, because when it first happened, I kind of thought that she may have pulled it on herself. Like it was like a, hey, kill yourself the same way I made these soldiers kill each other.
yeah.
So it could also have been that, like not necessarily like Sparks wrestling it. And
I really think it was Sparks who did it.
yeah.
I don't think it was the alien, because when the alien wants to kill you, there is no question about it. I mean, that's just about it going back to its intelligence.
Right.
When it wants something dead, it dies.
Yeah.
And when it wants you to live, or it doesn't really want to hurt you, then it gives you the image of somebody that you love, and it kind of just lures you away, and that's what it does. And so I really think it was, I mean, of course, it's an accident, but it was just, sorry, I just read this article about accidents with guns, and I was like, well, yeah, never mind. It just wasn't necessary to move the story. It wasn't necessary for the story for her to die.
Right.
She could have been tied up, and the police found her. I mean, the cop was going to be there anyway.
Yes. Because she had already made the call.
Yeah. So it wasn't necessary.
I agree. Yeah, you and I had made our sarcastic comments while we were watching, just because like, but like, you know, again, it's all just things happen. She was an extra body for people to worry about, so it was a matter of just get rid of her.
That's fair. I mean, I guess she could. Well, no, it's better to have the cop. Speaking of the cop,
right?
So we find out something really cool about the alien. I mean, relatively cool that he can kind of just feed off you by programming you. Did you kind of get what the feeding part was?
I felt like it was essentially it was dream eating. Like it was essentially putting them in a trance state.
Trance-like state.
And feeding off maybe like their brain matter or just like all of their neurosynapses and stuff like that. Because essentially when it was building its strength, it was building its ability to control minds. And so I imagine it needed whatever neuro gray matter to do that, or like psychic energy, something like that.
Because it affected Molly differently from how it affected the two other guys. It made them aggressive, and it kind of also just seemed like it made them robotic. So they were just kind of doing what they needed to do. Whereas with Molly, and maybe that goes back to it feeding off of them so that it could put Molly in this more trance-like state.
Right.
With Molly, it was more of she's just kind of sleepwalking through what she thinks she's seeing. Yeah. And I felt like with them, they were very much aware of their surroundings and what was going on, and more like Terminators. Yeah. So, I don't know. I thought that was an interesting way of phrasing it, calling it a feeding. Yeah. And I hope that they explain that a little bit more.
Well, my assumption is that, because we know that the offspring was born of a spore-like entity. And we know that the spore also attaches to your brain, and that's how you see the images. So I'm assuming that like once it gets inside of you, that is the feeding part, and so then it goes back to nourish the human part of the body.
But Sparks did say that it has two feedings. So he said it feeds the human side with food, and then the other side is fed with the brain sucking thing. Right. So I mean, I would just like them to touch on it more as to how it goes about it. Yeah. If they had showed me the alien, maybe I would understand what's going on.
Show me the
alien. Anyways. But yeah, so and to move a little bit forward with Molly, so she does finally get to her baby, essentially. It's very interesting how they did it. I mean, that she doesn't actually interact with the alien baby, but she gets to see what could have been. Right. You want to explain a little bit about that?
Yes. So essentially, since we had already seen the aftermath of her accident, we got to see essentially an alternate past where she wakes up in the hospital and Sam is there comforting her, telling her that Marcus is still alive and her baby survived. And then she gets to walk up and see her happy, healthy little baby boy, and she interacts with it and, tickles and giggles and all that stuff. And then in the midst of her dream state, Ben, the voice of Ben, the computer that manages the space station, comes on and tells her that in order to save her baby, which was going into like a respiratory failure, she would have to input her access codes and stuff like that. So that was a what do they call that? Me doing my fingers like this doesn't help you at all.
Cohesive?
Yes, it was like a crossover of the two worlds in that it used her doing that in the dream in order to do it in the real world.
Yeah. I mean, that was crafty, and we kind of touched on that already with the Seraphim, but I guess the whole point that she didn't meet the baby this episode is because we still have 3 more episodes, and maybe they're going to meet later down the line. But we did, fortunately lose a cast member as well.
Yeah. I mean, we don't know if he's completely dead yet.
Krieger?
Yeah.
Dude is dead as a doorknob. No, he hit his whole dramatic, like, oh, don't let them change you, whatever he said. And he goes, and just dies. He did the little, like,
right, but like,
sorry, I don't know if that doesn't really work for the podcast people, but everyone,
for anyone who's listening, she's doing a wonderful Krieger impression,
the death,
with the stutter breaths and all of it. Yeah,
the horrible way you die on television.
Because everyone needs to know that you're dead, and so you give that like, I'm dead thing. And it's great.
It's so sad. It's when I saw it, I was like, at least that was better than the one in Dark Knight Rises when Marion Cotillard dies. Hers is, I love you, Marion Cotillard, but that was bad. It's like, sorry. Okay, enough of that.
But I mean, I think that they're gonna. I mean, not to jump into predictions, but I don't know if he's necessarily dead.
I'm pretty sure he's dead.
But if he is, I'm kind of glad because his character had reached a point of one-notedness where it's just like, gotta kill that baby, and it was he wasn't growing from that point on. So now he can kind of serve as I don't know, a jumping off point for them to be like, oh, maybe things are dangerous. But it added a nice little bit of drama. It was a nice way to wrap things up.
I suppose. I was ready for Krieger to die. That sounds awful, but it just got to that point where I felt like he was becoming one note and he wasn't really serving anything anymore. And I also wanted to be like, why does he still have these bruises on his face from like 3 weeks ago? So for me, I kind of thought it was either going to be him or Kern, because Kern was kind of getting like a little whiny because he was going into withdrawal after like 1 day of not having Absol or Absalom or whatever it's called. Absalom. So I kind of think it's the appropriate time to wrap both of those characters up. I'm sure Kern will have a little bit more, but
though I did love their like buddy cop ness this episode. Like that was so fun, just having them playing off each other and being like, all right, it's time to be a cop. And they go into the thing, and it was fun. You have to admit that it was fun. I guess you don't have to admit, but it was fun.
I think the most fun I had this episode is when the cop shot that robot like it was a Dalek. And I was like, oh, it just blew up like a Dalek. But there's nobody responded to all this debris flying up in the air. I mean, it blew up. He shot it 3 times, and then it went red, and it blew up. Yeah. And so that was the most fun I had.
I like that his deputy acted like it's something that he does every other day, which is great because I want a whole side story about this sheriff walking around killing robots, and then at the end he comes back and he's the one who destroys Charlie's robot army. It's just that one sheriff. Yes. That would be great.
That would actually be really great comedy. Maybe they'll do that for us.
Writers,
Please.
take note.
Please do it for us. We know you already shot the whole season. But yeah, so I see why you like the buddy. I just don't think Kern and Krieger, that could be a buddy cop name.
Yeah.
I don't think they had that much chemistry.
I disagree, because it's like it's when a really crazy person meets a super duper stern Kern. So like they're opposing, because even their motivations are opposing, so you get to see them bicker and whatnot. I mean, it wasn't as wild and crazy, but you got to know, like, who, this Kern's the straight man, and Krieger is the wild card, and you got to see them play off of each other in a way that I felt was satisfying. Okay. I would watch a spinoff with Krieger and Kern. KK.
Wow. Well, that'd be so boring. But
come on, solving mysteries, tracking
suppose.
cars.
I suppose.
Yeah.
Probably not. But speaking of partnering and buddy cop, just to do a little shout out for iTunes, I'm just going to pull that out of thin air and just say we really, really love it when you guys check us out on the iTunes, our podcast. AfterBuzz is a wonderful company, and I don't really know what else to say. You just go ahead and break in for
I mean, essentially, you can be our buddy by going on to iTunes and slapping us with a 5-star rating. Yeah. I mean, essentially, it helps our producers and everyone above us know that we're doing a good job. If we're not doing a good job, let us know in the comments. And essentially, if you keep tuning in and keep rating and commenting, we can produce more shows like this. I mean, we do over 70 shows a week. Just for you, and they're all free. So the only thing that we ask of you is that you interact with us, which is fun. We love reading your comments, and we love seeing our ratings, and that you guys love that this show is a thing.
Yeah, so subscribe on iTunes, and we look at YouTube as well. I check out the YouTube channel and kind of see what's going on there. So subscribe to AfterBuzz on YouTube as well.
Yeah, that Tari Miller responding to your comments is actually me.
Yeah, that Adrian Snow responding to your Twitter, that's actually me.
Yeah.
And YouTube as well. Yeah. And iTunes as well.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Awesome. So you know what to do.
Do it. Do it. Anyways, so just jumping off from there, I just wanted to throw that out. But moving on to Yasumoto and John. Is it bad that I say whatever? Yasumoto and John. So what did you think of that whole spin where they lure John into Yasumoto's lair?
I thought it was interesting, mostly because I get why John would go there. Like essentially Yasumoto does have all these resources, and there's no one else that he could turn to. And then just the fact that he becomes this essentially passive prisoner was so funny to me. Like everything that he did, like all these guys would be like, "Nah, I don't think it's a good idea for you to leave." Yeah. And he's just like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, well, Goran Vishnik is such a wonderful actor. Like I really love watching him. I remember watching Practical Magic as a kid and being like, "Who is that?" He is just gorgeous, and he's just fascinating to watch. So it's kind of sad to see him on this and see him be underused. That they just don't really, he's not even really gullible. They just don't know what to do with him. It's just kind of like, "Oh, I could come help you." "No, stay where you're at." "Oh, I kind of want to leave." "No, I don't think that's a good idea." And this is like his storyline throughout. It's just, he never has anything fun to do. So by the end of the season, he better do something crazy.
I'm sure
he better
will.
Lead a rebellion or something. This is ridiculous.
He's going to be the leader of Charlie's Ethan army.
Yes. The war.
Oh, man. Well, I feel like he does a really good job with what he has, though. Like, I mean, you actually feel, or at least I feel for him, and I feel what he's feeling. Because, I mean, I wouldn't know what to do if I were in his place. And even if he were to leave, like, he has no other way of figuring things out. So I mean, he's trying to do what's best for his family, and it's there's nothing he can do because he's this massive outlier in this whole thing. I mean, I'll get into this with predictions, but like I think that going forward, he's really gonna have a bigger role. What with the whole Ethan thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just he's so uninformed. The fact that he doesn't know about Yasumoto yet is just, it drives me crazy.
Yeah.
And so it was nice to see that kind of finally converge. Sorry, that was weird. I just made up a word there. Finally converge that, you know, Yasumoto had to kind of admit to having some knowledge.
Yeah.
You know, and saying, well, Molly and I discussed this, so she's going to go after the baby.
Mm-hmm.
And it was nice to see everyone kind of meet up in that house. And so you have Miss Dodd and you have Odin and Ethan and Julie. But I really do want them to do more with John.
Right.
And I think we're going to finally get the explanation on Yasumoto being like an ancient man next episode. So
I hope so.
That. I saw him with all gray hair in the preview. That's jumping forward, but I was really excited.
My favorite part about that whole John Yasumoto thing is just when they're both sitting in the same room, speaking in their accents, and I'm just like, accents!
Yes.
It was great. I don't know why I found it so great, but it was just like, no one in this room is American.
Yeah, and if you include Odin in that,
yeah.
Actually, yeah, well, yeah.
But yeah. Speaking of Odin,
I had this one moment where I was watching it and Odin smirked and I was like, dang, I would fall for that too. As Ethan, as Julie, even John was like, Odin's great.
Yeah.
It was something in that smirk. I was like,
he's a charmer.
I would fall for that too. I'd just be blinded. But he's not a good guy. No. And we had this kind of confirmed. We still don't really know his motives, but we had do you want to touch on that a little bit?
Yeah. So like we enter in with him and Ethan essentially kind of just joking around, and he finds a way of relating to Ethan by showing Ethan his arm and that it's fake and that they're both part robot,
part android.
Yeah. Which leads him into all these war stories, and he's endearing himself to Ethan. And he flips out a butane lighter and starts showing Ethan that he can't be burned by it, which starts a little bit of intrigue in Ethan's mind about essentially what he's been told as opposed to the realities of what his body is. Yeah. John originally told him that he can't touch hot things or it'll overload his sensors and stuff like that. But Odin starts to make him question everything about what John has told him.
Yeah, that was really messed up. I mean, I just remember thinking, I didn't think that's, if Odin was going to do anything, I didn't think that's how he was going to play it. But the fact that he kind of went in and turned Ethan against John and did it so quickly, I was kind of shocked. So that was a very interesting twist on it. But I still don't really know what is, if he actually has Ethan, what they're going to do, what their intentions are. Yeah.
Well, for me, the most puzzling part about it is if you're super anti-technology, which is what his cult is like an anti-tech cult.
Yeah.
Why would you convince this robot that it's indestructible? Why would you make it aware that it's better than humans?
Maybe I don't know now. I don't know what their cult really is. It seemed like they were about destroying. I don't know how they're going to use it. If they're going to just destroy them or if they're going to try and use it to some intention. And I also don't really understand like what Dodd's intention is as well.
Yeah.
So I think next episode I hope that's more of the focus that they go with that.
Well,
but now they have him. So that was pretty stupid on John's part and sly on Odin's part.
Yeah.
And smart on Dodd's part because she saw Ethan leave and probably called Odin and was like, he's out of your way, grab him now.
Yeah.
But so just going off of that, shall we go into predictions?
Well, yes, we shall.
Yeah.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
So, Tori, what do you think for next week?
For next week, I think that we're going to have a lot more John. He's going to find out that Ethan's been taken, and then he's going to go on his own baby hunt. So it's going to be John trying to find Ethan and them digging into Odin's group and figuring out what their deal is. So I'm hoping that we really figure out what his motives are. And yes, I hope that Ethan becomes awesome.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. I hope next episode they kind of focus away from the baby. It's not because I don't the alien baby. It's not because I don't want to see the alien baby, but I kind of want them to just start wrapping stuff up because it is coming up to the end of the season.
Yeah.
So maybe focusing more on Yasumoto and focusing a little bit more on the Ethan story and focusing more on John.
Yeah.
And just kind of playing off of those things, and we can come back to the baby the next episode. So that's kind of my focus, is that the side stories start to get wrapped up. And so hopefully that's what they'll do. And it won't be a 2-hour-long episode next week. We're back to an hour. So that'll be nice as well. Sorry to admit, but yes.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a little bit easier to digest.
It'll give you like a little more room to breathe and think about it and stuff like that.
Exactly.
The cliffhangers will hit a little bit harder.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, Tori, where can they catch you on the social media?
Well, you can catch me on Twitter at TauriJ. That's TaurijAY. You can also catch me on the Sword Art Online panel on Sundays, the Legend of Korra panel on Sundays, and this one. Yep. Adrian.
And yes, you can catch me on Twitter and Instagram at Miss Adrian Snow. That's MSADRIAN. Snow like Jon Snow. And I'm also will be on, hopefully, the Grace Point panel this fall. So I think that wraps it up for Extant tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in. And I have a catchphrase as well for all you Jonathan Landis fans. See you next Wednesday.
See ya.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.
Thank you for watching AfterBuzz TV on YouTube. For more of your favorite after shows and interviews, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion on the episode in the comment section below here. We'd love to see what you guys are buzzing about. Thanks again. Buzz you later.